Thank you, Tony. Our next presentation is very timely given the recent announcement that OreCorp has agreed to be acquired by Silvercorp. So we welcome to the stage Henk Diedrichs, Managing Director and CEO of OreCorp. Henk is an engineer with more than 20 years of extensive project development and operational experience, particularly in Africa. He was an integral part of the successful development and operation of Equinox Minerals' Lumwana copper mine in Zambia. During that time, the mine was developed into one of Africa's largest open-cut copper mines before the acquisition of Equinox by Barrick for $7 billion. Henk was instrumental in leading the Nyanzaga Gold Project through the scoping and feasibility study phases and took on the role of CEO and Managing Director in November last year. Thank you.
Thank you for that introduction, Courtney, and a big welcome to all for attending the combined OreCorp and Silvercorp presentation. Please take note of the cautionary statements. Those are available on our website, so I'll take them as read. I think it's pertinent, given the breaking news on Monday morning, to just touch on some of the key points pertaining the proposed transaction. So Silvercorp Metals made an offer to acquire 100% of OreCorp shares earlier this week by means of a scheme of arrangement with an implied total consideration of 60 cents per share, comprising 15 cents in cash and then 10 OreCorp shares for each single Silvercorp common share. Upon conclusion of the transaction, OreCorp shareholders will hold 17.8% of the shares in Silvercorp. And then importantly, Silvercorp will also provide some interim funding through a placement for a total consideration of 28 million Australian dollars at 40 cents per share. The first tranche of that placement concluded earlier today for 45 million shares, 18 million Australian dollars. That funding is very critical for us to maintain momentum with the implementation of the resettlement activities, inclusive of the compensation payments. And that is critical for the development of the Nyanzaga project. We see significant benefits for both groups of shareholders in this transaction. Firstly, to the OreCorp shareholders, we bring value forward. We also significantly increases the trading liquidity, with Silvercorp trading approximately $5 million per day on the New York and Toronto stock exchanges combined. And then it provides that opportunity for ongoing exposure to the Nyanzaga project through the Silvercorp portfolio. And then for the Silvercorp shareholders, it introduces a project of significant scale, longevity, and high margin to the existing portfolio of assets. It also allows for geographic and metal diversification and significantly contributes to their reserves and resources. If we look at the pro forma capitalization of the combined entity, expect to have 219 million shares on issue, not a lot of shares on issue, a combined market cap of approximately $630 million, and a post-transaction net position of $170 million. So the combined entity is then well positioned to undertake and successfully deliver a project the scale of Nyanzaga. Slides in front of you just provide a bit of granularity on the reserves and resources of the respective entities. So in the Silvercorp stable, 116 million ounces of silver equivalent in reserve, and the 2.6 million ounces of reserves, of gold reserves in Nyanzaga, and then resources on the right-hand side. Nyanzaga will significantly contribute to the gold portfolio of Silvercorp, as illustrated by the pie chart on the far left. And perhaps just briefly on the Silvercorp production profile, they produced 7 million ounces of silver equivalent during 2023, aiming to steadily increase that to approximately 9 million ounces by 2028, exclusive of the contribution of gold from Nyanzaga. I think for the benefit of the Silvercorp shareholders, just a quick overview on Nyanzaga and also Tanzania in general. So the project is located in the northwestern part of Tanzania, in the Lake Victoria goldfields. It's a province of world-class gold endowment that produced more than 25 million ounces of gold historically. The project is well supported by infrastructure and services, an existing access road, access to water from Lake Victoria, and power in the national grid from the existing substation at Bulyanhulu. Very important for successful development of a project to have these supporting services readily available. There's a long history in Tanzania by involvement of majors, more specifically AngloGold Ashanti through the Geita gold mine, Barrick through Bulyanhulu and North Mara, more recently BHP's investment in Lifezone, and also large energy projects through Total Energies. There's the crude oil, East Africa crude oil pipeline worth $3.5 billion, and more recently the negotiations between Shell PLC and the government of Tanzania for a $42 billion LNG project. The Tanzanian grid is deemed a green grid under the EU guidelines, power predominantly generated by a combination of hydro and also natural gas. A bit more information on Nyanzaga itself. So 84% ownership by OreCorp currently, and a 16% free carried interest by the government of Tanzania. The mine itself, very conventional open pit, underground combination, process plant, well-proven technology. We grind, crush, grind to 75 micron, 30% of the gold recovered through a gravity circuit, whole of ore leach for a production of gold doré at an average life of mine metallurgical recovery of 88%. We completed the definitive feasibility study in August 2022. It delivered the project, a very robust project with a long life, expecting to produce on average 234,000 ounces of gold per year over a 10.7-year life at a low all-in sustaining cost of $954 per ounce, and very robust project economics with significant upside with gold price. So at a $2,000 per ounce gold price, the post-tax NPV increases to over $900 million. Project expects to produce almost 200,000 ounces a year of gold in the first 12 months of production, steadily increasing to nearly 300,000 ounces per year for years 5, 6, and 7, 40 million tons in reserves at 2.02 grams per ton for 2.6 million ounces. So the Silvercorp development plan for Nyanzaga is not too dissimilar to what OreCorp had in mind. Very important to continue with the resettlement activities and hence the interim funding. Silvercorp then envisaged a slightly deeper and therefore larger open pit, and intends to follow a staged approach whereby they'll first develop the open pit, followed by the underground a couple of years thereafter, and then also a staged expansion of the process plant. Bit of information on Silvercorp. So Vancouver-based Canadian mining company, listed on the TSX and NYSE. They've been producing silver for the last 17 years, produced more than 90 million ounces of silver to date, and still a long life of mine remaining. Strong balance sheet, $200 million of cash in the bank, and no debt, and then still a 28% strategic investment in a company called New Pacific Metals in Bolivia. They've got a very successful track record of development of mines and then a long production history. So we believe very well suited to take Nyanzaga on the next leg of the journey. So they produce a lead, silver, and zinc concentrates from 2 mining centers within China. The flagship mining district is called the Ying Mining District in Henan Province. That consists of 7 underground mines, 2 process plants. And then there's the GC mine in the southern part of China. Now, I personally visited all of the Silvercorp operations, took a technical team with me, spent a fair bit of time on site, went right into the stopes to get a good feel for how Silvercorp operates. We were very impressed by the way they conduct their business. The housekeeping was to a very high standard, very modest visual environmental impact, and then also very good interaction with their host community. So we left our site visit and was very confident that it's a highly responsible operator within their operations in China. And that was a big consideration for us to take this forward to our shareholders. They've managed to significantly grow their reserve base over time, up to 115 million ounces of silver equivalent by 2023, and also progressively increased their resource over the past years, producing silver at a low all-in sustaining cost of $9.73 per ounce. They're ISO 14001 certified, very strong focus on the host community, making significant investment in the host community, and a strong corporate governance. Table on the left provides you with a bit more insight on their institutional investor base, well covered by various analysts, 64% of the shares held by retail shareholders, 32% by institutions, and then 4% by insiders. Just briefly on the overall project timeline, so we expect the first core date to take place by early to mid-October, scheme meeting a month thereafter, and then implementation hopefully before the end of the year. So we see this as a great opportunity for both groups of shareholders. We're certainly looking forward to the full support of the OreCorp shareholders in particular as we progress through the scheme of arrangement. So thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Henk.